Hi, everyone. Welcome to our first webinar of the season. It's webinar season again. So I'm quite glad to be here today. Very interesting topic today. Short and sweet. We'll be talking about the farm comparison module in your uniform. You might be a customer or you might not, and you're just curious to see what we can do with that. That's totally fine. So if at any point you have questions, don't hesitate to raise your hand in the meeting or simply unmute your microphone and ask away. Or you can also use the chat module to just fire your question. All right, so we're gonna start. I'm with Rox today. She's going to help me if there are any questions that I don't see while I'm doing this. Hi, Rox, are you there?
Yes, I'm there.
All right. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Typical question. All right. Good. So first thing first, the very first thing, we're going to get into some technical things before we can go to the actual module. So the first thing you want to do is to go to program settings at the top left. And then you want to go on Uninet. And on this screen, you'll see that's Dutch language screen. That's not actually part of Uniform. It's just an external tool that allows us to exchange the data with farms. The only thing you need to pay attention for is this number here. If that is your phone number, then you're good to go. If you don't see your phone number there or your farm's phone number, then just call us and we'll help you set that up. Secondly, you want to go again in program settings. And at the very bottom, farm data. Just make sure that you see there's two tabs here. The tab to the left, farm data, just make sure this is filled properly with your address, phone number, location, premises ID. This is all important stuff when you're exchanging for ProAction. Miscellaneous, very important for farm comparison. Make sure this is accurate to your farm. If this is not, then obviously you won't be able to filter with farms that are similar to yours. So that won't be that relevant. Once this is all done, just press OK. And the last item on the technical side of things I needed to check is, of course, when we run farm comparison, we need to exchange data. We usually do it twice, early in the month and at the end of the month. And of course, we're not assuming that you're going to do this manually. So we have what we call an automate in Uniform that takes care of certain tasks on your own. So farm comparison exchange is part of that. So we need to confirm that the automate task is there and active. So to do that, just go to the automate menu and go to settings. And in settings, you should see something like this, send farm comparison. And make sure this is active with the checkbox here checked. And you should see that it's going to be sending the data, sending and receiving the data on the 2nd and the 26th every month. Okay, so if you don't see this, you can try to add it, but I would recommend that you call the support. We can help you with that. Once it's done, again, click OK. And now we're ready to dig in, go to our farm comparison module. So to get there, simply click on the cow head. Then go to 11, economics. And then number 1, farm comparison. So it's going to do a whole bunch of calculations. There we go. So I'll go piece by piece here. Starting at the very left, you see we've got a bunch of KPIs here showing up. They're all grouped. You know, if you click on the plus or minus sign, you can expand or collapse. And these KPIs, every group of KPI, for example, fertility, has got an underlined KPI. In this case, preg rate. Just keep that in mind. Just want you to notice because I'll explain something later on, which is related. Then if we move to the right a notch, you can see that these are all your results for every month of the past year. By default, you can change it for a quarter or, you know, more years back. But this is by default all my results for every KPIs in the previous months. And then finally, if we move up to the the current month, previous, and the month before, so starting January, February, and then March in yellow, we're going to focus for today on the blue portion. So that's February. That's the latest complete month. What we can see, and I just want to help you interpret the data. What's under farm is quite easy. That's just your results. The average, and just for a just so you know, in the month of February, we've checked on the server, and there were 5,000 farms that sent their data for farm comparison. Okay, sorry. Every time you do this, just keep in mind all the data is kept confidential. Your name is not attached to it. The farm name is not attached to it. And it allows you to have access to all of these, the pool of data globally. So 5,000 herds from everywhere on the globe, 29 plus countries have exchanged the data in February. Of course, that's not the entirety of our customer base. That's quite all right. It's not mandatory to exchange your data, of course, but those who did, they were 5,000. So that would be the second column. Average is the average of those 5,000 herds in February. The best 20% will be based off the underlying item in every group. So for example, if we take preg rate, the 20% best herds have got a preg rate of 25.8% preg rate. And this will also dictate the other KPIs. So of all those 20% best herds, these are their other fertility KPIs, okay? So this is the same for every group of KPIs, okay? So always look at the underlying. The best 20% is showing here kg fat and protein, and then the rest above is also based out of these 20% best herds. Rank. So we always make 100 groups out of 5,000 herds. So that makes 100 groups of 50 herds. So what that 24 tells us here is that there's 24% herds in that 5,000s that are better than I am for kilos of fat and protein. Okay, if we move to preg rate, there's 16% herds only that are better than I am. Okay, so the higher the number, you know, the more improvements you need to make. And finally, selection, which I think is the the most interesting one, because obviously you don't always want to compare globally, but you want to be able to compare apples to apples. So this is where this has come into play. As you can see, selection is showing 309. So 309 herds in February were matching my filters for herd comparison. What does that mean? If I go in the bottom left corner under selection, you'll see that I'm only comparing herds, like that selection is herd, like Canadian herds in Ontario only. If I want to add some filters, you're free to do so. The more you add, obviously, the more you go down the funnel, so that the less herds you may be able to compare with. If there's, if the filters are too restrictive and there's not enough herds to compare with, it just won't calculate. So just keep that in mind. Every time you make a change under selection, make sure to hit sync again, because this is going to take that into account, recalculate everything, and then you're going to end up with the new figures for selection, the new selection, basically. So those are the average of my 309 herds that I've selected. Any questions so far? Rox, is there any questions in the chat?
No, it's crystal clear for everyone, I think.
Good, good. Glad to hear that. And then the final and the second and final portion of what I wanted to show you today is the second tab here, graph. It's not really a farm comparison, but I think it's a really good introspective look at your farm in the past 3 years. So as you can see, you recognize the same KPIs to the right. And as you can see, my number of young stock and cows are selected right now. I can just take that out. And what I would suggest you do with this, maybe I'll just leave the cows. This would be to track the main events or the main changes that are happening in your herd, because you want to monitor how are my KPIs reacting to that change in time. So this is what the advanced button is for. Okay, so let's just create one here. So hit new. I'm going to change my date. We'll say that, let's just say March 1st, 2022. I've changed my ration. My change 0-30 days ration. Click OK. And then as you can see, it's putting a post-it directly above the date on my 3-year calendar. So what I can do with this is I can check, well, how did my cell count react to that? How did my kilos per milk per day react to that? So these are all KPIs that you can then interpret in conjunction with this post-it. So any major change, of course, you don't want to put an event on every single day, otherwise it's gonna get too busy there. But at least the major changes or the things that may have a potential impact on your herd might be worth putting into events. And as you can see, there's different scales, of course, when you're trying to, and that's for the ABC that you see in brackets here. So for example, if we look at preg rate, it's a percentage. I'll just remove that. So we see the values are, appropriate for a preg rate. Same goes for conception rate. It's also a B scale item. A item, calving interval. Of course, we can't fit that between 0 and 50. So we have a different scale, as you can see, A values here. So this will have basically 3 different scales to which the data can attach itself to. So just keep that in mind. We get the question quite often. So that's pretty much it for today. Like I said, it's short and sweet. I think it's a very interesting module. We get lots of questions about it all the time. Rox, I'll check again. Is there any questions in the chat?
No, it's still clear for everyone, I think.
Good, good. So just keep in mind, this is being recorded, so this will be made available on our website probably in just a couple days. So feel free to refer back to it. Also, please note that this is also going to be available in the Uniform Academy. If you do not have your access to Uniform Academy, you can find tons of videos there, tons of articles, very interesting for self-learners. If you don't have your account, it's totally free. Just contact support and we'll create one for you. All right. Well, thanks everyone and have a good rest of your day.